Okay, guys, thanks for waiting. Sorry, I just got back just right now from Rainbow Beach at a conference we had up there. We were supposed to go out offshore fishing with Greg from Rainbow Beach Fishing. Charles, anyone ever done him at all? He's really good. But it was 30 knots, so it got cancelled. Anyhow, it is what it is. How you going, mate? Yeah, good, good. So, ready to roll. So, guys, we're going to cover a lot tonight. So, we're going to cover every species, sort of like 10 or 15 minutes on each one, but you'll get the gist on everything that you need to know to get you ready for this weekend. So, who's going this weekend for a fish? Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the weather looks really good. So, Saturday's not too bad, sort of 8 to 14 knots sort of thing. Sundays around about 6 to 8 knots for most of the day. And then it gets, I think afternoon gets up to maybe 10. But in the morning it's like 4. Swell at the moment 1.4 metres, dropping back to about 1.1 on Sunday. Okay. Fish bite, really good. So tomorrow morning it's 5 a.m. hot bite, like 94%. Saturday's like 82% at 6. Sunday's about 7 a.m. and it's 78, I think, which is 3 fish, which is really good. The hour before, 2 hours before, and the 2 hours after also very good as well. So it's a morning bite, 5 a.m. probably till 8:30, 9 on Sunday. So give it a crack. We haven't had weather like this for, as we haven't had that crap weather, but probably 2 weekends in a row would be last year, I think. So take advantage of it. Next weekend looks pretty good too again as well. So see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to start because we're going to cover spotty mackerel, Spanish mackerel, wahoo, dolphin fish, marlin, and tuna. So we've got 6 species to cover. We're going to cover casting, trolling, so both types, and a bit of live bait as well. As you all know, the mackerel season opens on Saturday, this Saturday, so the 21st tomorrow. You can't fish tomorrow for them. You can if you want, but you can't keep them. And then Sunday is Saturday is the start of it, so anytime after midnight Saturday. Morning, that is, 1 a.m. You can go out. So I would dare say there's also mackerel comp with the Gold Coast Sport Fish Club on this weekend. Is anyone fishing that at all? Right. If you want to do it, just jump on their Gold Coast Sport Fishing Club Facebook page to tell you about it. It's links there as well. Heaps of prizes, like I don't know, 20 grams of prizes or something. I'm not quite sure the exact amount, but it's fairly good. And I think that's on Saturday and Sunday. It might be a 2-day thing. Sorry, I don't know what it was at the time to look, but it's normally a good comp. And then we get about 30 boats or 40 boats fish it. But for you guys, I would say this weekend you've got multiple choices. I would be looking at definitely mackerel on Saturday morning. First in was going to get the most fish because no one's really caught them for 6 weeks or 7 weeks. So we had the 3-week closure, then we had a week of 30 knots, so no one got out that week. And then we had a 3-week closure again. So it's 7 weeks that no one's fished for mackerel. So, and we've just had some monster swell, monster southerlies. Even though we've had a lot of rain, the water's actually not too bad. So those southerlies have saved us. So kept all that, it pushes the dirty water, but just dissipates. So it's pretty clean at around 50 metres at the moment. But I'm going to go for a snucker fish in the morning and then a troll after that. So I'll tell you tomorrow afternoon what it's like. So we're going to start the spotties. So this time of the year, spotties normally in late March, early April is when they're really on the best. Best spots normally are obviously palmy, mermaid, gravel patch. Out the front here and off the pins, really, really good. The pin bar at the moment is a bit crappy, not too bad, but the water's sort of dirty, so it needs to clear up more. Okay. So how many guys are from Brisbane? Fish up that way? A few are, okay. So I would dare say 7's ready for be worth the crack at the nut for this weekend if you're going to go. The water should be reasonably clear there. I know it's a bit dirty coming out of the log and the pin, but the tide goes from north to south, so it's fairly clean up that way. The Brisbane River's a bit dirty, but and the bay's a bit dirty, but out there it's good tide, it's clean, and the current's been ripping pretty hard the last week, so it'll be cleaned up. So 7's reef up there. And that down here we just spoke about. So spotties, look, I like 2 types of things. I like slow trolling with a pilly rig. just on the standard for the rig everyone uses. We sell them for years, 20 years, I think. And we sell hundreds and hundreds every season, and they catch the most fish by far. So just a standard pillar rig, pilcher goes on there, or a little slimy, up the belly, out through this little spring here. I'll pass this around in a sec. Goes up through there. So you measure that out, so that goes up through there. Then you go backwards, put the hook in, and then rig it up and slide that down. This cone then screws up over his face. When Stewie comes up, we're going to do it for you, okay? Just he's busy at the moment, so we'll wait for him to come up. And then you just screw the cone up on his head, lock it up. Okay, I'll pass this around, but we'll rig one up later and show you. The other rig we sell lots of, and some of you probably have tried it and you understand how good they are, is the Reaper rig, which is, was here. Okay, somewhere. I'll pass that around too. We're going to rig up one of those for you as well. So the Reaper rig's actually got a bib on it, so it swims. So no matter how bad you rig up your bait, it'll still swim. It's a little bib on it, and the pin just locks down its head, so it can't fall out. So you can use pillars in it, slimies, yellowtail, whatever you want. It works really well. Pike, gar, doesn't matter. And it has two treble hooks that go underneath it. One goes to the back belly, one up the front area. Just put one hook in, two separate. So we'll pass that around a bit later as well. And then we got so you slow troll and lures. So when you troll the bait, when you slow troll the baits, you're trolling at about 1 to 2 knots. So for those of you who, has anyone not done that before? Spotty? Have you all done slow troll? Okay, so you all know what it works. So just, as I always say, work out your lap, work out which way the fish are facing the current. That's really important. So you need to actually troll around maybe that way or maybe that way and work out where they're sitting. Try and find them on the bait. You'll see the little lines, there's the spotties. And you'll find the bait schools and mark it, and then slow troll over it. Drop those baits back about a fair way, like 40 metres is the close one, 60 is probably the furthest one, so a long way back. Have your drag set not too tight, not too loose, just firm, and try and keep your rods down a little bit lower if you can. You've got those little side trollers or whatever. And don't use too heavy a line, like 30-pound mono, 50-pound braids, perfect for spotties for trolling. Even troll 40-pound braid. And if you want to get a little bit deeper, you may as well put a bit of lead up above the trace. But it shouldn't have to spotties. Just so you're going so slow, it's going to sink down a bit anyhow. When you turn the corners, because you've got so much line out, the line will drop down a fair bit. That's when you get a lot of strikes as well on the tone. And that's about it for spotties trolling. I've caught them on hard bodies too, but nowhere like the amount of Spanish I've caught on hard bodies. So you either troll baits for spotties or you cast. That's the two ways to catch spotties, I believe. If you're going to cast, the idea is to look. So troll first, try and work out where they are situated, find where the bait is, mark it, and then as soon as you see birds hovering around, and you start seeing, if you see fish jumping, the tuna, little tuna, if they're zipping through the water, they're the spotties, okay? And that's what you got to cast into. Always go upwind, so you're casting back with the wind. Does that make sense? If you go the other way, try and cast against the wind, you blow away from them, so always head into the wind. Every fish does. So go upwind, cast back with the wind, easy for you to cast. Be about probably 60 metres at least up, or 80 to 100 metres up from them, and they'll start working your way pretty well. And with the wind, you should better cast 60 metres at least with a 25-gram metal. So the metals we use are very small. They're feeding on little white bait like that sort of thing. Okay, and that's the 25 grams. The lasers are very popular, this type of thing, like that. The pink laser, the white one's very popular, like that type of thing. I'll pass these around. And that fella there is very popular as well. That's sort of last few years we've been using these. These are really good, very, very reflective. And if it's a bit windy and hard to cast, or your line's too heavy, you can get these little fellas here. These have been out a little while now. They work extremely good. The action's not as aggressive with the other ones are swimming quite hard like so. These fellas are pull more like that, but they still catch fish a lot, but they cast so easy on heavy line. So if your line's too heavy and you can't get these other lighter ones out, so that's 40 grams, that little tiny thing. So they're really heavy. They're like a tungsten lure, it's not tungsten. I'll pass those around. Well, these are all 30% off the pricing. So yeah, don't do that. So the other thing we do is we cast these little hybrids. So these little hybrids, we talked about these last year as well. They came out about a couple of years ago. They are extremely good. So they're metal with the plastic coating on it. So the plastic outside gives them the swim action. They swim a lot better than the metal, so they got better shaping. But their internals are lead. So that little fella there is 35 grams, and that fella there is 55. But the profile's not too big. Come in an array of colours, and price-wise, they're not too bad. Yeah, sort of 11 and $10 of them. They work well as well. Pass these around too. Sorry, my friend. Cheers, mate. Okay, the other thing we do is we do cast. There's a new lure out which is called a short casting lure. So you can jig and troll. So you'll see guys out there sometimes a jig and cast. Right? You'll see guys out there sometimes, and they'll be anchored on spot locker with their anchor. They'll be burling up, and they just drop a jig down into the belly trail. Then they want it real fast up through the belly trail. Works really well. The problem is you lose a lot of lures on the fall because they flutter on the way down. So these fellows here don't flutter as much because they're heavy and they're more thicker, but they have an unbelievable action on the way up. And they call them shore jigs because over in Japan, that area, they do a lot of shore jigging for mackerel off the rocks. So they cast it and they hop it up, wind real fast, drop it back down again, it falls back down. And quickly so that they don't bite off as easy. They don't hit as hard, but they do on the rise. So they have a cyst hook on the top as well. Does that get bitten off? Look, I was just in Japan a couple months ago. I asked the same question because the place we went to, Stewie, was where they get all the mackerel off the rocks. But when we were there, it was unseasonal snow blizzard, so it didn't happen. But they said no, they don't get many bite-offs, and they're the same mackerels we have here, exactly the same type of fish. So got to give it a crack. But I tried these up at Hamilton Island recently, not Hamilton Island, Long Island near Hamilton, and they're really, really good for like bottom domestic like trout and trevally and stuff like that. And I just know they're going to work on mackerel, but I didn't have them last year to try, so this year we'll give it a good crack. So they're another one. And then you can jig. So jigging for mackerel, it's a new thing, not many people do it yet. We are going to give it a good crack this year, but we're trying to work out how to add a little bite trace to it. Because there's no doubt, again, on the fall, they're going to get smacked. Because some of these jigs are designed to flood on the way down, and they're just going to come along and snip it off. So we will add a little tiny trace at the front, probably single strand, and probably around about 44 pounds or 38 pounds. And Sucko, sorry, could you ask Stu to bring that bait up, a couple of pilchers and slimies, please? Small slimies. Sorry. Oh, what's that doing? Oh, I've got the wrong way around. Sorry, guys. I'm new at this. So has anyone got a good Spanish this year yet? Like 20 kilos? No one yet? It's been really hard because the weather's just been so terrible. So look, we'll talk about Spanish in a minute, but I'd definitely focus this weekend, I think, on Spanish more than Spotties. I want to just quickly cover Spotties because we need to cover it. But main emphasis is going to be on Spanish mackerel, okay? So getting back to these little fellows, this is the type of jig we're going to use on the Spotties. We're going to drop these down amongst the Spotty squirrels and then jig them up pretty hard on just P1.5, which is 30-pound braid, and have a fat time, hopefully. So I just know they're going to get eaten. They're going to get, again, we didn't have this type of jig last year. So all new. And you can get cheaper versions like this type of thing here. Like these are like 3 for $18, you know, they're cheap. So any questions on that at all, folks? You won't get many Spotties on liveys. I'll take it, don't get me wrong, I'll take liveys, but focus more on Spanish mackerel with the liveys, okay? So it's pillies. White bait's really good for Spotties. And if you want to use white bait, we're talking about the bait now fishing. We use little double hook rigs on the pilchers and signal on the white bait. Okay, has anyone used white bait here for Spotties yet? It's really good. The hard part is getting good white bait. I can't even buy it ourselves. it's hard to get good whitebait. But the spotties love whitebait. So when those pillies come up, I'll put a double there. For the spotties? Yeah, so like they start in December, but theoretically they are more skilled up and more aggressive in March, April, and sometimes May, June. So it depends on the water temperature. So all fish are water temperature based. So with spotties, once it gets below about 24, 23 degrees, they go somewhere. They just go north or wherever they go. Spanish, I caught them down to about 21 in June, July. But spotties are a little bit more, they like a bit warmer water. Then you'll get a late run of doggies, which are like a spotty, and they'll be here. They don't mind it even 20 degrees. And they seem to come in pretty thick around May, June. So guys will stop mackerel fishing, and a few guys will still go out and they'll just bag out on doggy mackerel. And it's still good size too. So don't give up your mackerel fishing too early. Yeah, no, don't, no. Unless the snapper are going hard, then you change. Yeah. So I'll quickly undo one of these and pass this around as well. So when you're fishing for mackerel, you've got to have a wire trace on. They'll just bite off line too easy. The thing is with wire though, you can't go too thick because they just don't like it. And it just needs to be long enough. I see guys have wire traces long. You only need like that long. Just a bite trace. So that's why his mouth's quite long. It doesn't bite off the other end, if that makes sense. If he's going that way and the line's pulling this way, you need to have that little bit of length, but not too much. The other thing is you don't need too heavy. Sometimes the bigger mackerel might bite through it, but most of them don't. But what they will do is they'll make the wire pigtaily, because when they bite it, it's in their teeth and pulls their teeth. When you get the mackerel off the hook, it's all pigtaily. You can't do anything about it. It's very rare they'll touch a bait on a pigtaily wire. They must see it. So you just got to discard it. Yeah, they don't like it. So I make up a lot of rigs. I make up 10 or 12 rigs if I'm going to go in the morning. If I take my kids with me, I'll make up 20. So, yeah. Well, you take your mate. Just imagine your kids are your mate that hasn't fished much before. You need to be ready for them to lose a bit. And some rigs you'll get 3 or 4 fish off, and other rigs you'll just get the first one. That's it. It's all pigtaily. It's all over. I think I'm looking for them as my glasses. I need my glasses to find my glasses. There they are. Yep, thanks. Cheers, mate. Yes, good to see. Okay. Yeah. You'll probably see a video come out this weekend from Tackle World. I got about a size 1 treble my hook in my finger yesterday. Had to rip it out. How to remove a hook. I think I do it every time I go fishing. Someone sabotaged us on this one, let me tell you. Okay, so short. See how short that is? So that's the hook there. That's the swivel up this end. Now, wire that's around about 30 pound or under, you can tie knots in it. Any wire, like plastic coated, non-plastic coated, you can tie knots in it. There is a Japanese wire I have downstairs, which I didn't bring up. Sorry, guys. It is down there. It's tieable wire and made to be tieable. So it has like some sort of coating on it, and you can tie loop knots, Albrights, everything in it. Tie it to your mono leader with an Albright knot. You can't do bimini twist on it though. And you can do Snell hooks as well on hooks. So I'll just pass that around. So very basic. That's 30 pound wire or 27 pound wire. The hooks are 2.0, or actually 3.0, I think, sorry. And 2.0 or 3.0 is the perfect size, and it hides in the pilchard, which we'll show you a bit later. And it's really, really good. It just doesn't miss. And half the time, they just swallow the whole thing. It's down their gills, right down. So you don't miss. If you use too big a hook, it doesn't hook up as good. If you use too small, it doesn't hook up. And it's got to be able to sort of go through the pilchard. It's got to be big enough in the gate to go through, be exposed on the other side of the pilchard. Okay? So you don't use big chunky baits for spotties. You want more petite baits. That's why white pilchards are really good. It's what they're feeding on. They're not feeding on big chunks. So Spanish, different story. Spotties, keep it small. And then the double hook rig is similar. These ones definitely don't miss. They're 2 hook rig. And these are snelled, as I was saying before, you can snell the wire. This is just normal wire, plastic coated though. Probably a good idea to take another packet before you go fishing, because you'll get seasick trying to hunt. Does anyone here have trouble with seasickness? Just thought I'd ask, don't be shy, because I used to get violent sick when I was a kid. My dad just made me suffer. But my dad was a crazy fisher. But what you need to do is, I find travel calm the best for the people I take out with me that get seasick, and my kids when they were young. Kids get really seasick for some reason. They haven't got the balance yet, right? And so travel calm, and take it with, believe it, with a glass of milk or a cup of tea or a coffee, or whatever, in the morning. Water doesn't seem to work as good for some reason. Milk seems to work better. And you take it at least half an hour before you leave the doorstep of your house. If you take it on the way there, go to the garage and buy a drink, it's already too late, I believe. It's got to be way before you leave home.
I have one before I go out.
Do you?
Yeah.
You definitely make sure. Oh, serious? And then you go to sleep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you do well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it definitely safety's better than not doing it, right? There's nothing worse than getting seasick. Yeah. The diehards that get seasick that just keep going every time, don't stress about it. They're the true fishermen. Yeah. So there's a little snelled hook. I'll pass this around as well. Again, short trace. The top hook's snelled onto the bottom hook. The bottom hook's just got a loop knot on it. That one there just goes through. So you cut a pilchard in half. If you undo the head part, where it's cut off here, the tail's back here, just through the body, straight through. And this one here just goes under here and out the front. If you go the other way, it tends to sometimes pop out the bottom. It blows it out. If you go the other way, it works better. You can put it through the eyes, but it falls out all the time. Once you get a bit of current, and if it's in the current and it falls out, then it'll spin. You don't want it to fall out. So if you go through the top part of the nose last, it's very tight and very hard to get out. Thank you. Now, guys always ask, do you use sinker or no sinker? Look, I prefer to use no sinker, and if the current's running a bit, I'll even cast it up 20 metres right in front of the boat and just let it come down with the current. And I'll strip off a bit of line as well. So it sort of takes a while to get down there. If you don't get a bite by that time, then you won't back into the same again. But I would dare say, on most times, if the current's more than, say, 1 knot, you will need to put a 1 ball sinker. So have a range of little ball sinkers with you and just sit above the swivel. Don't put shot on there. Don't put any split shot on there, because they see it, they want it. Yep. Any questions on that at all, folks? Keep your swivels small. Size 6, size 5 crane is a very good quality little swivel that's about 20 kilos in strength, and it'll work well. So how do we do this? So what we do, you can drift. If you've got not much wind and the fish are working around the place, they're moving around, it doesn't hurt to drift through everyone, sort of thing. Works really well. And again, just keep casting your line up in front of the boat, and as your boat comes to it, it'll come down slowly. If you've got a little bit of wind, more than 10 knots, I anchor. I'd probably anchor or spot lock yourself on the spot. And when you do that, make sure you're at least 30 metres from any boat, because they'll run 30 metres, okay? So you've got to, and the other guy won't like you either. They're coming too close. So do that, and then burley up. So the pillies you got that are soft, so you know yourself, when you get a pilly out of the thing, you break them off, the half frozen, half of them snap in half, whatever. The ones that are a bit dodgy, just cut them up into little slithers, not too big. So if you had a whole pilly, I'd probably get about 10 pieces out of a pilchard, 10 cuts, and just throw out 3 or 4, and every sort of have them, a whole top of your bait board just full of chopped up pillies. This is when you give it a good session. So every sort of maybe 1 minute, you just throw out another 6, and then another minute later, another 6, and you always get bites. Try and throw your lines. So if you check your baits, try and time it so it's with the next throw of burley out. So you throw the burley, throw your bait out at the same time. Leave the bar arm open on the spin reel and let the line just fall out naturally. If you close it straight up, it'll pull the line back down and it won't work as good. You need it to go just freely with the bait. Okay? And you'll see the mackerel swim around the back of the boat. They'll come up and they'll bite the pieces and sometimes they'll grab yours. Yeah. Any questions on that at all? No? Okay, everyone's good. This is about all I've got to tell you about that. The white pilchards, use single, like I said, don't use double hooks and white pillies. You put the hook through the middle of the pilchard, the white pilchard, white bait. Or froggies are right too, but white bait's better. Through the middle, you pull the hook out and you dig it into his head. So from where the hook goes through the pilchard to the head is the length of the shank. Does that make sense? So it's not bent on there, it's perfectly straight. Then you just do a half hitch on your mono leader or your wire leader, whichever you're going to use. I'll be using wire. Do a half hitch on it and then slide it over the tail and then just pull it tight so it hangs there perfectly straight in the current. They work really good. You see a lot of pros using white bait because they're really good. That's what they're feeding on. That's what that little lure going around is emulating, is a little white pilchard. Okay, no questions on spotties at all? Oh, just a couple of other things, sorry. Leader. My leader to my brig is, if I'm using light stuff, I'm using like a 4,000 spin reel, something in this sort of size, or maybe one size bigger, but yeah, about that size. That's a good spotty rod. So that's a 4,000, yep, and it's got about 20 or 30 pound braid on it, and the rod looks thin, but it's actually quite stiff, powerful. And my leader's 30 pound fluorocarbon, okay, which I think you got in your bags. Exactly what I use. Okay. It's strong enough to lift a fish that's, say, 70 centimetres into the boat. Just do one wrap on it. Make sure your leader's only about 1.5 metres long at the most. And you'll be able to lift it in the boat. But anything over about 3 kilos, you'll need to gaff it. Please have a little gaff. And the gape's got to be small. So, it's a gaff here. That would be the biggest gaff I'd use on a spotty mackerel. The biggest. If anything, a bit smaller would be even better. And the thickness, that would be the thickest I'd use on a spotty mackerel. Not too big. Don't use a net, they'll bite through it. All mackerel bite through nets. Okay? Handle-wise, if your boat's about 6 metres, that's about the length of handle you've got to use. If your boat's a little tinny, keep it short, probably about that length at the most. Yep. Okay, that's about all I'll tell you. All good. Okay, we'll rig those baits up a bit later. Spanish mackerel. Okay, this is this weekend's. You've got to go Spanish mackerel. You have to. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to fish for snapper in the morning actually, but as soon as that sun's up and the snapper bite goes a bit quiet, I'm going to switch to trolling. But we're going to troll out past 50 metres, intentionally not to catch Spanish mackerel. But if I was you guys, I'd be trolling deep divers first. Okay, so you troll them in the dark nearly, like it's just cracking daylight. Drop them back about, I don't know, around sort of 25, 40, 60 metres, drop 3 out or 4 out. And these get down about 8 metres. So you got to space them out a bit so they get caught up anywhere. And about probably at least, all your lures should be at least 15 metres apart. Does that make sense? And if you want to troll a bit shallower, you can troll things like these new Shimano's, these new Colt snipers. These are a fantastic finish. I haven't tried them yet because I only knew this last couple of months. Not too bad in price, around 26 bucks, something like that. 27 bucks. And those fellas there, you could drop back the further. So troll these at about 25 and 40 metres, this at about 50 and 60. Does that make sense? The other ones will come down a bit closer. These will just sit out the top and go down about 2 metres max. Okay. So the Colt Sniper, they're going to be your furthest out ones. As I was saying, the finish on these is very, very good. So small bib, shallow, big bib, deep. Do you all remember that? And the bigger the bib, the closer in, the littler the bib, the further out. Colours on any of these sort of deep divers, look, these are the 3 favourite colours. I like that Stewie's favourite colour. You'll know that coral trout, he loves it. I like the purple one myself. I love that one there, but I've done really well on that Fusilier colour. Okay. These fellows here, not bad in price, similar pricing. they just did that trip up to Semirez Reef a couple of weeks ago with Wilson's, and we caught a lot of mackerel and a lot of wahoo, a lot of everything, dog to tutors. I haven't used this one before till that day. It's now become one of my favourites. It's a red Iron Man Xeric, absolute killer. And I didn't lose it. It caught like 20 or 30 fish. Got it, didn't bring it in tonight though, sorry. Stewie the bait man, who he is.
20 or 30 fish, have you got 20 or 30 photos of
Yeah,
different fish?
I have, mate. I have, don't worry about that, mate. Thanks, mate. Dinner served. Okay, with that defrost. Thanks, Stuart. I'm gonna put that bad boy out. That gets down about 10 metres. Got a really big bib, so I'll be running that in the closest. Yeah. Oh well, when we were trolling those up there, we were only trolling 2 lures, and we had that back about 30 metres. But I'll probably drop back 25 and 40, 60.
These guys 40?
We got to space them. Every one's another 15 metres.
Yeah.
So
That one's in first.
they're first, yeah.
What do you reckon, set him at about 20?
25 to 30, yeah.
30,
Yeah, but it'll come back to like 15 behind the boat because it'll get down.
Yep.
Yeah,
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 gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. How fast are you going?
About 6 to 8 knots. So with mackerel, look, it's a really funny thing. I've caught mackerel, and I always say this, when I get a mackerel on, and we'll talk about it a bit in a moment, but don't ever stop the boat. You've got to keep going forward. So I'll actually, if my mackerel's on the close line and it's on that side, and I've got 2 guys on the boat, I'll say just leave that line out, don't touch it. It's over there, he's over there, hopefully he stays over there. And so many times just doing 1 or 2 knots in gear, even on the deep divers, I've hooked up another mackerel on that lure. So do you troll them slow or fast? Look, if you know where the fish are concentrated in the area, you could slow down a little bit to maybe 5 or 6 knots. You still got to catch them. But if you want to cover the ground, find the fish, I'd be doing 7 or 8 knots. Yeah. Or 6 to 8 knots. Yeah. Any questions on that at all? Okay, so when you're trolling, again, there's marks which we're going to go through a bit later in your sheet, but you need to grid out the troll run. Does that make sense? So you sort of say, I'm going to start up there, I'm going to go out that spot, down that spot, down that spot, come back into that spot, do a loop around, and then go maybe back in on the next 2 spots in a bit closer, maybe 500 metres to the west of that last run, and do a big circle. And then if they don't work that way, then you get them going back up that way, then the next run, reverse it. So you come down on the inside and go up on the outside, because they might be hitting on that way. You got to work it in your head. And that's how you catch a lot of fish. The trouble is mackerel is 1 fish, so it doesn't take long to work it out, right? But anyhow, it is what it is. So if you get a triple hookup, it's really hard not to gaff a mackerel, get your lure out of the mackerel's mouth if you've got 3 fish beside the boat, and you're allowed to keep 2. So look, my suggestion would be to just have a good long pair of pliers and just try and get the hooks out and be careful. Okay. Helcos are great lures too. I use Helcos as well, but I like that brand the best. Yeah, this catches really well, and they're tough. They're real tough, and the hooks are ridiculously good, very sharp and strong. They don't bend. A lot of hooks you grab with a pair of pliers to get it out, and the hook like ski with. Yeah, not those. Okay, so there's a Strata Pro. The other thing with trolling is if you've got the side troller ones, they're really good because they keep your lines separated a little bit. The problem with them is though, it's hard to get them out of the rod hold when you hook up. Have you had that? Anyone noticed that before? So does anyone not have that type of system? They're called roller trollers or flat trollers or whatever you call them. So your rods, they're like, your rods become the outriggers. So they're nearly on that position beside the boat. And then you can put the other lines out there and there's no tangles. They become your furthest ones out too, by the way. So always remember, short rods, short close ones are your 2 at the stern, facing straight out. And then when your rods holders change that position up in front of it further up, they're the ones that go the further out. And if you've got those flat trollers, they're the ones that are definitely the furthest out. Okay? You can run those shallow runners on them, whatever. If you run those shallow lures, they're not too bad to get out of the holder. There's not as much pressure on it. Okay? But the only thing you can do is you slow down slowly, so from 6 to 7 knots down to 1 or 2 knots, and let the fish keep the weight on the fish. Keep the boat, keeps the weight on the fish. So it's like you holding the rod, pulling on, right? And it allows you then to sort of get the rod out easier. But if you try and get it out at 6 knots, it doesn't work. You'll rip the whole rod holder out of the boat trying to get it out. And make sure you get the safety strap on the rod holder and then the safety strap on the reel from the rod holder, because you'll lose it. Okay? Lose your rod. I don't mind, but you guys will lose it. Okay, so we're trolling for mackerel. We've done all that. We've marked them, and as I showed you before, they look like lines on the just lines in the water. So that's our screen. This is the bottom. The bottom's like this, and you get a bit of a pinnacle comes up. Maybe another little one here. And there's bait on here. A bit more bait on there, or fish. And the mackerel will just look like lines, like this sort of thing. When you go on, it's actually slow trolling for mackerel with the bait, sorry. When you troll on lures, it'll change a little bit, because you're going faster. So perspective is different. So when you're going slow, you get the long line effect with mackerel. When you're going at 6 or 8 knots, they'll just be like that. Like that, okay? Changes. And the bait will be quite congested, whichever way it might sit. And you may see the odd mackerel just up here as well. And your lures, you're in the boat up here, sort of on the surface up here, and the boat's here, whatever way your boat is, and your lines are back. So your deep divers might be like that, and maybe a short one here, whatever it is. They'll come up to there, no problems at all. They'll come up 10 or 15 metres. So if you're out on 24 fathoms, most of the fish seen is at about, which is about 40 metres, most of the fish are sitting about 28 metres. Sometimes they're a bit higher, but 28 metres is about the common depth for them out here. And on the 18 fathoms, which is 32 metres or 34 metres, they tend to be about 18 metres down. Like years ago, we used to get mackerel on the surface all the time, but now they seem to be deeper. Don't know why. But they come up to the lures, no problem. So when we're marlin fishing, they'll come up 40 metres to a lure out wide, or 100 metres. You'll see the marlin swim all the way up. So don't worry about the depth. But if you've got a downrigger, which we're going to talk about in a moment.
So they're around 28 metres.
Oh, they're sitting in the current or whatever they do at that depth. Yeah, between 18 and 28 metres, depending on how deep you're in. It just seems to be the happy area that's in the sitting. But there is ones up here too, you know, swimming around.
Yeah.
But majority is schooled up down deep.
How deep are you fishing for these?
Well, only 10 metres or 8 metres, your lures. So they'll come up 10 metres or so.
Depth of your water you're fishing for?
40 metres, see?
40 metres.
Yeah, 42. Yeah, 38 to 42 out on the Diamond Reef area. Yeah. And they just smash the lures. Yeah, they come up.
Does it depend, like, if it's cloudy or really bright sunlight?
Yeah, that's a good call. Look, if you got cloud, theoretically, like the water's dirty, to use brighter colour lures, the guys asked about that as well, you know. I find that they just seem to like 2 or 3 different colours in particular, which is what the colours I passed around. And it doesn't matter if it's cloudy, fine, or whatever. Not too much to worry about. Water cleanliness is mainly on the top, so we can't, unless we dump the water and dive down, it does get clear as you go down further, generally speaking. Because I think fresh floats on top of salt, right? Yeah.
Trolling into the sun?
No. Trolling, the sun doesn't really affect it at all. It's more which way the current's going. The best spot's always the front of the reef into the current. Does that make sense? So, and sometimes at the back, but if the current's running 1 knot from the north heading south, and you've got some spots marked on your GPS, just this example. If this is your GPS screen, and you've got a spot marked, say that's north, and I always have north facing up. This is who does not. We always talk about this. Who does the helicopter thing go around in circles? Good. Yeah, 'cause that makes you seasick. So, north, south, west, east. Okay. So. Blue one. So let's just say we've got a mark. This is the northern end of the reef, and I've got a little fish symbol here, and I've got another one over here. This is very similar to what I've actually got out in the 24s. And I've got another one up here maybe, and a couple of marks here inside as well. So if the current's going down, if the current's going down this way, most of the fish are going to be sitting in this area here, into the current, at the top of the reef, not down this end here, town here so much. If there's no current, wherever the bait's holding is where they'll be holding, probably. Okay, so, but in this particular time, most of my fish are going to be caught in this area here. I guarantee it. This is the way it works if you've got a bit of current running. So always get on the upside of the reef, and that's the area you troll. So how big is this area? Probably 500 metres in that direction, and 500 metres in that direction. And how do I troll that? Look, I'd probably do on the run like that, go down there, come up there, go back up to there, maybe go back up to there and do the same again. So I'm working with the current and against the current, and I might be doing 7 or 8 knots down current, going with it to try and get the lures to swim. When I come back up the other way, I'm doing 5 to 6 because my lures are working really hard against the current. Does that make sense? But what I'll do though, in saying that, there might be a lot of sand here, right? And there's one rock here, and there may be mackerel sitting on that rock into the current there because there's nothing else between here and there. So that becomes a front again. Does that make sense? So that's why I do the big run all the way down here, come in here, go back up at the inside of that, and then next time I might come, I'll do a loop up here, and I might come back down this way and go back up that way. Does that make sense? And you just got to work out which way. As soon as you get a strike, make sure you mark your screen. Just quickly get one of the boys to put an icon on the screen, whatever, and mark it, and then keep doing your run. You come back around again, you get a strike on that spot again. Well, that's where you're going to concentrate your trolling more in that area. You may have another mark over here. You've got a hit here or here, this area. So then I'll then do this sort of figure. I'll go try that spot. So that might be a total of my area there might be a total of about 3 kilometres by sort of 1 kilometre that way. So it's a fairly big run. You probably do it in about 15 minutes. Does that make sense? Yep.
How do you figure out what currents do it?
It's a good question. You'll feel it. You'll feel it in the boat because you'll feel it go fast that way, and all of a sudden it's a bit slower that way. But if you can't do that, you'll sometimes just see it, because especially a little bit of wind, if you get, say, a bit of southerly, and it's southerly when it blows. That way, if it stands up a bit more, there's a current underneath it, pushed against it. But if it's calm on a southerly, then there's no current. It'll just be waves, like just pressure, wind waves. But otherwise, you just stop and drift. And if you're drifting, say if you've got no current and you're drifting, you pull up and you just do a quick drift, just get your thing ready, whatever. I always do that first before I put my lures out. I just stop in the dark. I just zoom my plot right into 100 metres on the screen, and then I'll see, I just get everything ready, look back at my plotter trail, and okay, I've drifted that way. It's actually going west current today. So try and work it out from there, mate. Yeah, but take the wind into account. But if you're drifting against the wind, you know it's a strong current. So if you've got 10 knots southerly and you're going south, it's ripping. Yeah, they'll all be up this end of town. Yeah. So sort of work it out. Any questions on that at all? All good? Okay, cool. So this year, again, we're going to try something different. We're gonna jig for the Spanish as well, just using a slightly bit bigger jig, but doing it faster. So the spotties, we're just going to sort of wind it, work it up with in your belly trail. The Spanish, when we find the Spanish on that reef we saw earlier where they were stacked up, we're just going to drop down and just rip it up really hard and fast. Yeah, but using a lot more slender type jig that just shoots down, but only light. So only use it on light line P2 or P1.5, little 4,000 or 5,000 size reel. Have a great time, you know. Only allowed one fish, so I might enjoy it, catching it. Okay, other stuff. Um, yeah, there's stick baits and stuff. Like some guys do throw stick baits at mackerel up north. Everyone throws stick baits at mackerel. Down here, no one does it. So they will come up to the surface here. You'll see the birds diving. There'll be fish zipping around, and all of a sudden you see a bit of a big splash, or you see a Spanish jump out of the water. That's when you cast a stick bait. So if you've got a stick bait rod in that sort of P2 to P5 range, which is sort of like 40 to 80 pound, throw on something like that fellow there. It's a diver, saltiga stick bait, or something a bit bigger. If you went up to about that size there, and catch Spanish, okay, and just cast as they cast a long way. They'll cast 60 to 80 meters, and then hit them and just rake it like that, not fast, just like that. That's the action, okay, and just stand from the boat and just do that. If you've got a centre console, you've got another one back of the boat, same deal. Just keep the rod down the side. But you can't be, because the rod's a bit longer, 7 or 8 foot long, you can't have too little boat because it's hard to do it without getting the rod tip in the water. You have to maybe up, but the action's not as good. But I'll just pass those around. I'll pass those too. Thank you. So we give that a crack this year as well. See how it goes. Haven't tried it yet. I've caught his mackerel up on the reef doing it, but not down here. Haven't tried it. But we've got a couple of Japanese guys that do it out here. They do really well. Rue's one of them. He does really well. You see him on Facebook holding up this big Spanish out in the diamond reef, and he gets them on stick baits. And you'll see him this year probably out there doing it.
Is he locating the burst?
Yeah, just as I said before, he's find them, and all the bait will come to the top, and they'll be on the top. And you've got to see the eyes. They zip just like a spotty does. And occasionally they'll jump out as well. Yeah, and the birds will be there. And there'll be mac tuna, and there'll be other little yellowfin and everything happening. So the chance that you hook up on other stuff as well, this is part of the parcel. Yeah. Yep, cool. Any questions on that at all? No? Okay, so trolling baits for mackerel. So look, I love trolling baits for Spanish mackerel, but now that they're too easy to catch on baits. Now that you've got the bag limit and you've got 3 gang hooks in its mouth and you've got already 2 fish or 1 fish, whatever you're allowed, there's not going to be much chance to do much bait fishing because it's too quick and easy, as I'm trying to say. You go snapper fishing real quick because it'll be over. But it works. So that's it. So that's my favourite rig, that one there. Comes in different colours. Different types. Garfish is the best bait. Slimy is probably number 2, and we're trolling that really slow. So it's exactly like the spotties, but just a bigger version. So 1 to 2 knots, 60 meters back or even further, and slow trolling it. The only difference is to get it down a bit more because we're in deeper water. When we're chasing spotties, we're only in 20 meters or whatever it might be. We're in 40 meters now, and those mackerel down a bit deeper, and because with a lure, it's swimming and rattling and going hard, and the sonic waves are obviously a lot more loud, right? With a bait, it's in stealth mode. It's just like cruising on like this. So, and they're all the way down there, different to this. So they're not really going to come up as much, right? So you need to get down to their territory, and to do that, you just put an 8-ounce barrel sinker right here above it, or you run 2 8-ounce barrel sinkers. So what that does, and we use it's the same as using a downrigger, but just we call it poor man's downrigger. That's what I use, the poor man's downrigger. I've got downriggers, but I don't use them much. But I'll just show you how it works in the water column. So when you see those mackerel down deep and they're not coming up, and they're being painful. So that's the top of the water here. And this is our boat here. We've got our rods out the back. So let's just say I've got 3 rods out. One's out the side here. Bit of a bad drawing. So this one here has got no weight on it. It's just the weight of that, what's on the front here, right? Which is fairly heavy. And you're doing 1 or 2 knots. That's going to be sitting down, and that one's going to be the furthest one back. So it's going to be right back here, probably 65 to 80 metres back. And it'll probably be down around about 2 metres, okay? Roughly 2 metres at that speed. And it's sitting here. If I put on an 8-ounce barrel sinker, which is about that big, come downstairs, on this right here, and it's my next furthest one out, it's probably going to be about, oh, sorry, I'll make that a bit more of an angle. Probably going to be about, can't see that, can you? Blue. It's probably going to be around about that angle there with the bait on it, with the 8-ounce sinker. So the 8-ounce sinker sitting on here. And then the next one, if I put 2 8-ounce sinkers on, it's going to be about that angle there. And the bottom's down here. And that pinnacle's here, and the fish are here. Does that make sense? So every 8-ounce sinker you put on is like another same depth again. So this fella's about 2 metres. This guy here is going to be a lot further down, probably around about 10. And this guy's going to be around about 15. Well, this might be 8. Does that make sense? So, does anyone here have a downrigger? Yep. So if you've got a downrigger, use a downrigger. It's easier. But and set your downrigger in on the 18 fathoms or 30 metres, 35 metres at about 18 metres down. And when you get, so they've got a little counter on them, so you set it 18 metres. And if you are out on the 24 fathoms at about, around about 28 metres. Yeah. How many people got electric reels? You have? Okay. If you've got an electric reel, you can use that as a downrigger. And there's a new rod out from Penn called a dredge rod, which is really stiff little thing with a bent butt on it, and it's got a big roll on the end. And you put your electric reel on top, and you can put a 12-pound or 10-pound downrigger weight on it, and it just hardly bends at all. It's only about this long. And you run a clip off it and attach your line to it, and drop your downrigger down. The beauty about the electric is it automatic stops. So when you hook a fish up and you're on your own, you just go over and push the auto button, and it'll wind the ball up for you while you're fighting the fish. Otherwise, your fish is competing against the ball if it goes around the ball. Yeah, but anyhow, does that all make sense? Okay, barrel sinkers. But generally speaking, they're normally up a bit high in the column, and that's fine. That's what you need. But they work so well on gar, which is still defrosting. And this is a bait last, as I said. So that's the 2 ways I troll. So the bait ones, 1 to 2 knots. The other ones, 5 to 8 knots, depending. And we do cast sometimes metals at the mackerel, but before we could actually start doing stick bait fishing, which we haven't done yet. But the big raiders or the bigger metals around 100 grams or 80 grams work really well. You need at least a 3/0 treble on the back or 4/0 treble. They've got a big mouth. And wire-wise, look, I don't use wire on those big mackerel ones because the metal's quite long, right? So it's enough. Just take the punt. Yeah. You will get Wahoos sometimes when you're doing this sort of stuff too. And Marlin and I've got Dolphin fish doing it too, in close. Okay. Any other questions on Spanish mackerel?
Even with those dead baits and you've got swivels,
Yes.
you get line twist?
No, not too bad. So I have a swivel on the top of the rig, which there is, as you can see, I'll pass this around. Just a little one, but a strong one and a good one. Thanks, mate. And then on the end of my leader, I have a snap swivel. I rarely tie it directly. I have a snap, just easier for what I'm doing. Not too big a snap though, size 4. I don't know if you got it in the bags, I'm not sure. But size 4 is a good size to use for everything. And it'll eliminate most of your line twists. If you're using braid, you'll be able to get line twists, but if you're using mono and the bait's not swimming, it's spinning, it's a nightmare. And then it seems to kink up and go across into the other lines as well. Yeah, more a nightmare. Need those. I do. David. Yeah, liveys are Spanish. Last thing to cover right here. So with the liveys of Spanish, David, they work extremely good. And you control them, you can drift, you can cast, whatever you want to do. If we're going to troll liveys, we control that with the garfish, the same speed. So just in gear. So this is the sort of rig we use. My rig, this is actually Stewie's rig, and Shannon used to work here. They like these little tiny hooks. I don't like these little tiny hooks so much. My rig's a bit bigger, but this is what they prefer to sell. It works because we sell lots of them, and people say they catch a lot of fish on them. But for me, I like to use fairly decent sized slimies or whatever I can get that sort of size, you know, the Spanish. So it's pretty small for that size bait. For the little slimies and yakkers, that's fine. Okay, for big tailor or whatever, maybe little tuna, I like a little bit bigger. So my top hook's about a 5.0 and my treple's about a 2.0. Where these are a size 2.0 and a 1.0, I think. But how do you do it? Simple. So you just work it out so that sits in through his nose, through there. You can't pin his mouth because you can pin the top part, but you can't put it through both because he can't breathe and he'll die too quick. Okay? And the bottom hook just goes in one in the belly, or you can put it through the side, but only pin it with one of the 3 hooks. The other 2 sit exposed. Don't try and get the whole lot in there. Doesn't work. Thank you. Again, short bite trace, David.
So you get them down the same way?
Exactly the same way. You can use the big ball singers, barrel singers if you want to get them down deeper. And down riggers, they work. They're fantastic. Yeah. So the ultimate Spanish mackerel catching rig with baits is a live slimy on a downrigger. Guaranteed. But it's too easy. It's one fish. You get out there, drop your line down, go home. If you're on your own. It's too easy. So, yeah. That's the problem with the new bag limit. Good, because it heaps of mackerel out there, but yeah.
Heaps of sharks too.
Heaps of sharks, that's right. This is the scary part, and I don't care if you guys are watching, but if it was that everyone's trying to talk about the shark deprivation, I think it's called, which means the fish kill of sharks, what they do. So there's a lot of the fish are actually, like you're feeding the sharks for the sharks, that makes sense. They understand boats, they understand motors, and they're very wise, the sharks these days. And as soon as you hook the fish up, they just eat the fish. If we weren't catching the fish, will they eat the fish? Not as easy for them to do it, right? But so the problem is, if you say too much that shark deprivation is killing our fish, then they're going to say, then you should stop fishing. Let's just close everything. We don't want that, right? We've got them to cull the sharks. That's the better way of doing it. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. What you say, you got to be really careful what you say. You know, because part of it's the truth and part's not the truth. It's a hard one. So be careful what you say. So people ask, sign here for shark deprivation. Of course we all want to sign it because there's so many sharks, so we want to cull the sharks in some little way or another. Not crazy, but a little bit. But in saying that, they're going to straight away say, well, therefore you should stop fishing because the shark's eating, you're feeding sharks and making it worse. So, does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a catch-22 situation. So you can't win. You can't win. The sharks win.
Like the slimies and the yuckers.
Yeah, good call, matey. So I was going to do the bait jig thing right at the end, but with the bait jigs and with the liveys, it's about clearness of the water. Okay, so as I said before, the water's pretty dirty at the moment, and they will disappear a bit deeper. They just don't like that. Like they hate fresh water. Live bait hates fresh water. But in saying that, the water down the bottom is pretty clean. But as you know, liveys tend to come up a bit and sit on the top and frolic around. They can't do that when there's fresh water on the surface. So they'll be out further or they're down deeper, one or two. So where we normally go, look, if there's no swell on the north side of the seaway, which is just going to be so shallow now, I'd normally just scoot across to the wreck or the blocks up north. If I'm going to get a jumping pin area and fish, I'm definitely going to hit the blocks, Fisher Reef, sort of about 5 k's north of the seaway. It's the easiest place to catch bait. Slimies, yuccas.
There on Saturday and struggled.
Did you really?
It was
So,
terrible
so
conditions.
the best blocks, the first one's the best one, or the middle one?
Oh, right. I
Yeah.
thought the furthest one.
No, terrible. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first and second one, or middle one. Yeah. I don't know if I got the marks there, but I'll give them to you downstairs. Yeah. There's a go.
And then what, the Aquarius on the south side?
Aquarius is good as well, which is the wreck on the other side of Dead Man's. It tends to be in that area. If it's exposed, they're right on it. If it's not much of the wreck showing, don't know how it is after that rain. I guess it's got covered up, that cyclone. But they tend to move. They'll stay in that vicinity, but they'll move around. They could be 300 metres to the northwest or east. You got to find them. Look for the shags. Look for the birds feeding. If you see a bird over there, black one, just go straight over there and there'll be bait there. Otherwise, the wreck down at the Scottish Prince, but you got to get there before the divers get there. It's too hard otherwise, they just hold the ground. Yeah. And then the next thing would be, if you're out on the 18s and 24s, then you're trolling baits around or lures around, and you come across a real good bait school, mark it, because it generally holds bait for the whole season. And you just get your bait there. And they're generally good size slimies. Yeah, or mixed. Using the bait jig, there's an art to that too. There's an art to everything. So tend to use the bait jig with a fairly decent sized sinker, like at least a 4 ounce, if not even a 6 ounce snapper lead. Don't use too small one. Don't use a little ball sinker like a 5 ball or 8 ball. Not as good. It needs to be quite fast. And then when the baits, so the baits, that's the bottom, that's the bait here, and that's say 40 metres deep, and the bait's at 30. I'll say, put it back. That's how the bait's there like that, and it's at 28 to 34. Okay. So if you're using multicolour line, which you always do on my bait jig rods, you know exactly where you are. When I drop it down and it's coming up to that third colour, just before I could just about run out of the colour I'm on, my third colour, at that point I keep hitting it on the way through. So my bait jig's going and stopping, going down, stopping, going down, stopping, going down, stopping. It won't get there, it's be full. But when you stop it, they just jump on. Then all of a sudden it's a bit loose there before it even gets to the bottom down here. But if you let your line go straight down to here and then work it back up through the bait school, you don't get no amount of bait. It takes you 5 times longer. So stop it through the bait school. And you've got to know that colour. So between 3 colour and 4 colour, I'm just going to do that all the way down, every metre. Stop, 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 stop. Yeah. If you got a spin reel, just grab the line. Is it overhead, you can stop with yeah. And use a 4 or 6 ounce single. If you're out on 36 fathoms, there's a lot of bait up there too, use about an 8 to 12 ounce single. So fairly heavy. Yeah. Okay. What else? I'll talk about Spanish. That's about it on Spanish, I think. Any other questions on Spanish? Dave, any more questions, buddy? All good? Yeah, so lures, baits, up to you guys. Remember the bag limits, 2 per boat, 1 per person. 1 per one person, that is, sorry. Yeah, 5 guys on the boat, 2 mackerel, that's it. Okay, starts Saturday. And then it's open season right through next year. Okay, we're going to go now to dolphin fish. Oh, actually go Wahoo, sorry. How many guys got a Wahoo this season? I know you guys have. Yeah. Oh, okay. So the Wahoo this year, phenomenal. Never seen so many in my life. So we normally go Wahoo fishing around April, May. Okay, but this year they've been around since December. They haven't stopped. And there's lots, and they're good size, and they're in close. So normally the bigger ones in January, February, March always caught out guys trolling for blue marlin or black marlin out wider. And then they rock up down at 9 Mile or 7's Reef, and sometimes out the front here on the 50 metre line in April or May. Well, this year they've been as close as 30 metres, and they've been all the last 4 months. Since November, maybe, I think. We're quite early in the season. Size, really good. 10 to, well, probably the average size is about 14 to 16 kilo. And they've been around 10 to about 25, 30 kilos, a couple of big ones. How do you catch them? You catch them on those, trolling deep divers. One of the customers got a couple the other day on those. Just trolling on the 50 to 60 metre line where the water went from green to blue. So it was about 60 metres, but now it's probably going to be around about 50 metres, because that was a week ago. So it'll be a bit cleaner and closer now, I think. That's probably going to hit tomorrow morning after we snap a fish and have a crack. Trolling skirts are really good too. These have been really good, these Deftex this year. They've both worked really well in those sort of colours. But the true ones are wire right through on something like that type of thing there with a metal head. Okay, so these fellows are trolling quite fast. You're trolling these fellows are trolling at 6 to 8 knots, normal speed. Same deal. This fellow here can troll that speed, but really, really good at about 12 knots, 10 to 12 knots. So we're dropping them back. Closest is about 60 metres, furthest about 100 to 110. So a long way back. Size, depends on the size of your line you're using. If you're using sort of, well, I wouldn't troll under 40 pound braid, but 40, 50 pound braid, that's the size you're going to use. If you're using 15 kilo line, that size. If you're going to use 24 kilo line, maybe 15, but 24 more. Or 50 to 80 pound braid, you can go up to that size. And if you're going to use 80 pound line or 80 to 100 pound braid, you can go up to that size. Okay, all work very well. And they all stay in the water, they don't catapult, and they hang in there at that sort of 10 or 12 knot speed. 22 kilometres an hour if you're using GPS or kilometres on it, that's the optimum speed. The thing is you need to do, it's not something you do on a rough day, okay, because your boat's either going to be like that and burning fuel like crazy, or you trim it right down and on a good day and just pull it back so you're just about on the plane, okay, and your line's a long way back and the rods are bent like that as you troll them, and when they hook up it's really loud and really quick. And you need to slow down fairly quick, but keep the tension on the line the whole time. But in that 20 seconds, you'll dump it on 100 metres. So you need 300 metres of braid in the line, okay? That's what it boils down to. Or 500 metres of mono. Okay?
And when you say you're trolling at 50 metres, just like anywhere out to 50 metres?
Yeah, just up and down on the outside of the reef, mate.
Yeah.
So they will be. It's really funny that the Spanish don't go past 50 metres. Never caught one out here. You do up in the reef, but out here they don't go past 50 metres. Don't know why. And the Wahoo rarely come inside 50 metres. It's like they got an agreement, normally.
When you say the reef,
Yeah. Oh, the Diamond Reef or whatever it might be. So if you're up at Brisbane way, you'd be probably talking about that line from Henderson's, I guess, and out further as we get the Wahoo, and inside that you probably get the Spanish.
okay, so on the Gold Coast, Diamond Reef.
Diamond Reef. Yeah, which is, the Diamond Reef's quite long. So it sort of starts northeast of the seaway a little bit, probably 2 or 3k up. On your latitude, it's about 2754. And on the bottom end, it's about 2800, which is 12 k's, 10 or 12 k's long.
I don't think I'll remember those numbers.
Yeah, they're on the thing. I'll do the numbers last. So if you got a pen, highlight it. But yeah, so every time it goes on, like from 2754, which is the northern end, to 2755, you go on 1 nautical mile, which is 1.8 k's in distance. So every time it changes another big number, it's another 1 nautical mile. And it's in minutes. So it goes 2701 to 2759, and it hits the next 60. It changes into 28. If that makes sense. So it's 60. On the latitude only, though. Longitude's a bit different. Yeah. Okay. So the Wahoo. So yeah. So trolling skirts. Trolling skirts are better than deep divers, I believe. But the beauty of deep divers is you will catch at that speed. These will troll up to about 10 knots. Okay, maximum. These will troll faster. Okay, the type of thing. But that size, that's all you need. That's it. Fine. But the beauty of these is you will catch at that speed other species like dolphin fish and that. You don't get many dolphin fish trolling these at 10 to 12 knots. Rare. I have caught them, but not many. It's just wahoo or tuna. You get tuna. Yeah, skipjacks and tuna and yellowfin on those. So what do? Do you troll hard bodies of that? Well, I'll be trolling hard bodies for those with Spanish, get my Spanish bag limit, and then I'll just go a bit further and troll for wahoo. As simple as that. And if you're not taking those and switch to your skirts, go a bit faster. Does that all make sense? That would be your day's routine. And if you want to go next level, then we'll talk about it in a minute, but I go to fads and troll for dolphin fish. And you get wahoo there too. Okay. So, where else you get the wahoo? As I said, Sevens Reef is really good off Point Lookout and down at 9 Mile. Anyone here from Tweed Heads area at all? You guys from Tweed? Yep. Yeah, you guys know, yep. So 9 Mile's really good. And it's generally my grounds in about mid to late April, early May. So I believe it's too early there normally, but this year's a bit different. They're early. They're there already, so give it a crack. Yeah. Have you got one there this year?
Yeah.
You have, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Skirt or deep diver?
It was actually a black magic skirt.
Skirt, yeah, skirt, yeah.
It's pretty scared it's going to cut me off.
Yeah, they do. So wahoo got really, really sharp teeth and a very long snout, and the snout, like I said, it's like a beak. The mackerel can't articulate they're just like that, but the wahoo have like a pivot point in their beak, and they snip very quick. They can lift up and snip, and they just cut your lures off. And it could be 200-pound wire, they'll still just cut it off real quick. And so you need to constantly look back at your lures. So when you're going that fast, the rods are bent a bit, right? Even the skirt's going to bend your rod a bit at that speed, at 10 knots or 12 knots. And if it's not bent, you've already been bitten off. You didn't even see it. No ratchet even pulled. It's come on stiff. So that happens. And that's happened so much this year for us. It's been amazing. Not I don't mean amazing that way. I mean amazing that my customers aren't losing their brains. Some guys have lost like 3 or 4 lures, and we re-rigged. They're going out the next week and done the same again.
Warranties, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always say check the knots. It's not the knots, it's biting them off. Yeah, but anyhow, that's just the way it is. But it's a good thing if you can hook up to the fish. Now, when you hook a wahoo up, it's going to run a lot of line real quick. Like I said, the first initial hook up is going to be very quick, another 80 metres of line gone out by the time you slow down. You pull up, still going in full gear. They'll generally do a couple of runs, and then they'll actually, I believe the Spanish mackerel fights harder closer than its wahoo, but the initial run for wahoo is extremely fast. It's just one big hard run, that's it. I don't know, you guys know what they're like. And they'll do maybe one more, but not much. So they're easy once you get them. They lay beside the boat. Spanish doesn't. Spanish will keep darting around and playing up a bit more stronger, I think.
Are you trolling north-south or?
Yep, north-south, generally along the outside edge of the reef, mate. Yep. Look, I might zigzag sometimes if I want to have a crack at sort of, the edge of the 24s and back out. If the water's clean in that area, but if it's dirty, I'll just keep going until I find that line and troll that line. Yeah. And then the next thing you do is you troll the 36 fathom reef, which is out 65 metres or 70 metre line, and you get fairly big zigzags though, not tight. So because you're going so fast, you can't do tight. So you're doing more that sort of run. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's probably around about 2 k's wide or K wide from 65 to 68 metres, say, which is the outside edge of the reef. And but you might go 2 or 3 k's before you do the next zig. If that makes sense. Yeah. Because it's quite quick at that speed. You've got to turn around and go back up again. But if the current's less than a knot and a half, troll back against it's fine. If it's running at 3 knots, you've probably got to bring the lines in, burn up, and come back down. So you'll use actually a lot more fuel going slow against the current, doing 10 knots against the current, than what you do going fast against the current. It's always around that 3,000 revs against the current, slows you down, and you're not playing against this burning fuel. Yeah. I was going to tell you about wahoo. Yeah, because they're so long, right? If you get a big one that's long and you only got a little esky, just chop it in half. Take a quick photo with it and then chop it in half. Don't worry about showing the other guys at home. Stick it back together, hold it up. So, because you got to keep it cold. Okay, so ice bag definitely the go. You get 1.5 ice bag. Yeah, you get Wahoo over 1.5, but at least that keeps it cold. I know they're cumbersome at the start, but when you start putting fish in there, they're good. Yeah. Okay. At least 2 bags of ice in an ice bag. If you've got an esky, chop it. Okay, any questions on the Wahoo? Yeah, David.
So what are they eating on the outside of the reef?
Yeah, that's a good call. Flying fish at the moment. There's a lot of flying fish this year. So they're feeding on flying fish. They feed on little leather jackets. They feed on anything. Those little triggerfish things in the water. When you cut them open, I always inspect what's in their gut, right? And sometimes you find they feed on the bottom, David. They've got like squid and crap in them, you know, and little goatfish and stuff like that, which aren't on the top. They're down there. But at the moment, it seems to be more flying fish. I don't know what they are. Some other long fish. Maybe they're saris. Yeah, maybe a sari. It's always white when you pull them out. The skin's gone. So you're trying to think, what is that? You know, you're trying to look at the head. Yeah, it's on this little skull. But the body's always there. So definitely this year, saris and probably flying fish going to go. A lot of little flying fish this year, like little tiny ones, even that big, everywhere, flying around. Yeah. So what else holds them on there? Look, they must go down and feed on the yakkers and slimies that are on the edge of the reef, I think too. The beauty is our fads are they're on top of the reef as well. So they must go down and feed occasionally. But they're generally down towards the top. Yeah, but you guys always check the gut. Sometimes there's a little tuna in them, you know. Yeah. I know it's a yucky thing to do, but just have a look. Give you some idea. Tuna's popular too, though. I forgot about that. Sometimes quite big tuna in there, in Wahoo especially. They'll take a little mac tuna, you know. Yeah. Yep. I think they're a bit like a snake, so they can open their mouth up quite big. Yeah. Okay, no more questions on the Wahoo? Okay, we go now to dolphin fish. So dolphin fish, well, we're in that same area. So they tend to be 50 metres and beyond, but they have been caught in close this year before the rain. They like clean water. They hate dirty water. I have caught them in green water, but nothing like I have caught them in clean water. So you're probably going to go out to around 50 or 60 metres minimum at the moment. Dolphin fish, exact same scenario of everything we talked about, but predominantly you're going to catch them more on skirts, this type of thing. Okay, so they just love skirts, but they will take deep divers. They will take metalheads, but they love skirts. So skirt size, just 6 inches, the perfect size. We rig those up on 130-pound mono, but if you're going to rig them yourself, I'd suggest at least 100-pound mono, if not 150 maximum. You don't need it too long. A meter's enough. It's just a trace you can grab and gaff it or whatever it may be. 1.5 meters max. So you don't want the swivel to be there and the fish to be sort of jumping around 2 meters or 3 meters out on a trace. It's too hard to handle it. So if you can wind up right close right there, you can gaff it, it's easy. So keep the trace quite short and workable. And the hook wires inside, internal, we generally use sort of, probably that size there at the smallest. I'll pass this around. That fella there at the smallest, if you're only running sort of 40-pound braid or 15 kilo, that's fine. But the next size up's fine on 15 as well, but definitely good on 24 as well, or 50 or 65-pound braid. That'll work fine on that same lure. When you do rig up a lure, if you want to do it yourself, always have the hook sticking out past beyond the skirt. So when you see me rig up in the shop here, we always have the eye of the skirt inside the skirt, but the hook's hanging out. And we see guys rig them up like that, they'll just put the hook in tight reckon and sitting up inside there like that. No good. So most of the time the fish are coming at the back side here, And it's just common knowledge for the game fishermen, the further out the hook is, the better it hooks up. Okay, so make sure your hook's out, but in game fishing, you can't have the eye beyond the skirt because it works too good, believe it or not. So that's the rule. So the eye's always got to be just inside the skirt. So my suggestion is, like I said, have it hanging out like that, or halfway. So the tip of the hook level with the bottom skirt is the highest you go up that way. Okay, but we do it all here. So in these colour-wise, they love pinks, they love purples. So the purples you can run in close, and the brighter the colour, the further out the back. Does that make sense? And multicolour, that sort of bit of both. You probably run that midfield. And greens, you run those out the back, right at the back. So these new ones have got wings on them. The wings reflect light, so they're a bit like a teaser. They flick off light while they're swimming along. Great idea, and very popular in Hawaii, that style. And they're now, we're doing on some of our own lures. So I'll pass these around. You can have a look at them.
Barrel sinkers with those?
No, so these are actually, most of your lures are weighted in the head. Some aren't, but most are. This is like centre weighted, so they'll just swim all the time at that point. They don't spin around, and they're generally sitting straight. And you troll them at about 5 to 7 knots. So they just hang in perfect. They come out, they swim along, come out, do as they're meant to do, and they work really well. Thank you. Yeah, handful, yes. So lead is short, not too long. If you use a real heavy line, obviously, and you catch some bigger marlin and dolphin fish, you just go up the antes to suit the skirt. Like that one there might have that sort of size hook in it, okay? Sitting like that. Okay.
Are you hedging your bets? Like you might go for some dollies,
Yep.
you're putting a lure on for a mackerel or a wahoo.
Yeah,
or something as well,
so that's the beauty of those fellows. They'll catch everything, right?
Yeah.
As will those, but obviously not really going to get. I've caught marlin on deep dives unintentionally though. I haven't really put him out for marlin. I've put him out for wahoo. It might be a marlin's jumped on one.
Yeah.
And I've even caught them on. I've even caught one of those rigs once because I chucked it out something different out in the 36s and caught a marlin. Didn't want to catch a marlin though. Wanted to catch a dolphin fish or a wahoo. And got a marlin. So if you're going with skirts only, the scenario is going to be wahoo, tuna, dolphin fish, or marlin. And if you're going to go with that type of thing, it's going to be mackerel, wahoo, tuna, and the odd dolphin fish or marlin. So to get your best money for buck, skirts of that type or the metal head type. Yeah. Catch small species. Yeah, a bit of weight in those, hey. But you try something like that, it's a lot lighter. But like we sell about, in that type of skirt, we sell about 600 in a season. Oh, in any of those skirts, sorry, in total. And majority of them are that 6-inch size for out off the Gold Coast. We sell probably about 150 to 200 8-inch in comparison. So it's 3 of that little size to 1 of the next size up. So it gives you some idea what most of the fish are caught on, which is that smaller size. Yeah, the bigger ones get more expensive, so it's a good thing they like our little ones here. But when you take some blue marlin out wider, we up the ante. You got big ones here. So with the dolphin fish, guys, it's similar to marlin fishing. So they don't mind coming out close to the back of the boat, but they like it a bit further out. So we add about another 10 or 15 metres to our marlin positions. So marlin will go very close, 15, 25, 40, 60 for your shotty, whatever. Just add another 10 metres to those, or 15 metres. So start at about 30 or 35 metres back, 50, 70, 90 maybe for shotty. Okay, does that all make sense? They will come to the back of the boat, but nothing like a marlin. Marlin love to come to the back of the boat and check what's going on and tack a lure. The dollies are more on the riggers. If you troll them for marlin, they're always on the back 2 or 3 lures. They're rarely at the front. Where you catch a marlin, they'll take it anywhere, but predominantly at the front, close to the boat. Opposite way.
Went up and grabbed the bird cage.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah.
Picked it up at Fraser.
Oh, true. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
Crazy stuff.
yeah. Exactly. They come right up. They're not shy. So, just remember dolphin fish a bit further back. With dollies, you're trolling at about, I said 5 to 7 knots. Do you troll against the current or with the current? Look, all fish into the current, so trolling down with the current's always the go. If the current's running hard, though, as I was saying earlier, you get down quite quick. So, do you troll back up against it? Look, most people do. Some people bring the lines up and zoom back up and come back down again to catch some fish. If we're doing fads, we do that. Sometimes we'll go down, troll from that fad down to that fad, and sometimes we'll go back around, back up against it, but we don't get as many fish that way. Sometimes we get the odd one, but we get a lot more fish coming down with it. So it's what you to have your best results with is what you're going to do. But if the current's only doing like 1 knot and there's not much variance between up and down, you can go any way you want, east, west, north, south. It's easy. So that's later in the season, it's normally easier fishing than early season January. It rips hard, and you sort of waste your time going all the way back up against the current, and it's a lot longer to get there too. You could have probably done another run down, maybe 2 runs to go and 1 run up. So your fishing time is wasted. Okay, and then the fishing's not as easy that way either. So yeah, up to you guys. Dolphin fish. Other thing we do besides troll skirts is we cast stick baits and plastics and stuff, and it works really well. Has anyone done that sort of thing? Cast lures at little dolphin fish around the fads and stuff? Works very good. Trolling bright things, casting bright things like that. These are both stick baits, they'll work really well. That's a little Shimano one that'll work well as well. They're quite heavy, and as I was saying earlier, you stick away from the fad a bit, 40 metres out, and cast towards it, starting from the top end. And you're always starting about, because the current's up in front of the fad normally, running north-south, and the line, the rope's not straight down, it's on that angle like behind in front of the fad. So the dolphin fish are sometimes 60 metres up from the fad buoy. The little one's always at the buoy, but the bigger ones are generally up further or around it. So we'll start about, it depends if someone doesn't jump in front of us, but we'll start about 80 or 100 metres up from the fad and then start casting from there. And bait fishing, I'll tell you about bait fishing in a moment, but with this type of thing, we'll do the first drift that we're nearly going to hit the buoy on the way through, cast it back down towards it, working it. When we get closer to the buoy, we'll cast it a bit out to the side. Then the next run will go down the left side, and the next run down the right side. So we cast all the way back across it that way, and then back across it that way. Okay. And whichever way works the best, or whether we're getting the most strikes, is then the 4th run. That's what we'll concentrate on. By that time, normally another boat's coming in. It's all over. Look, there's a lot of arguments out on the fads as well. Guys will just, you get up and down for a couple of runs yourself, then some guys come in from nowhere trolling and just come straight across between you and the buoy, and it just is the way it is. And some of the guys are spotlock, they'll come straight up and just spotlock right in front of you, and you've got to start your motor and go back around again, and go down that side because you're going to hit him. That's the way it is. Let you guys sort that out. Yeah. Sorry?
America wouldn't have those problems.
Oh, no, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll shoot the boat first. Yeah. Look, it's like Palm Beach Reef. It's the same deal down there. I don't go to Palmy much because of the arguments. And yeah, and people do get really close there. They'll get from here to the stairs away from you. They'll just pull up right next to you and throw the anchor. And you're guaranteed they're going to chop your anchor off. You're going to chop their anchor off with the fish on braid, just straight through it. And that's when it gets hostile. So I don't mind trolling around the boats down at Palmy, but I rarely anchor. I'll go to Mermaid or Gravel Patch or something and do that, or out the front. It's up to you again what you do there. Okay, so back to dollies, bait fishing for dolphin fish. So if they're not taking the skirts and if they're not taking any casting lures, you can go, obviously soft plastics work good. So if I'm going to use soft plastics, I like to use paddle tail, long and slender, 4-inch or 3-inch minimum, but 4-inch definitely. Jig head size 3040, weight wise about 3/8 to a half ounce, so around 10 to 14 grams on a 3040 hook. And white's a really good colour, pink's a really good colour, fluoro yellow's a really good colour. Some of those lures going around, bright. They love bright. Okay, natural colours don't seem to get as many. Yeah. Prawns are really good. So we use those S-tackle prawns. Are really good for the dollies. They love prawns. Yeah, they'll take prawns. So we use prawns a lot, and how we work it is we'll cast it, get a bit away from the fad, cast it up, let it sink down. A lot of times I'll nail it on the sink. You do line this up flicking after real fast. I've already nailed the soft plastic. Otherwise, we just sort of let it sink down about probably 6 to 10 metres, and then just hop it under the water and slow wind it, hop it, slow wind it, and I'll just smack it. Like every time you drop it, I'll just hit it straight away in the fall, and it's really, really good. So work out how they're feeding, work out what they're feeding on, and you can't go wrong. If you're going to use prawns, use 3, 4, or 5 inch, quite big ones. They don't mind big ones. Yeah. So they're like just the prawns patterns with the articulated back on. They're really good. Okay, so bait. Look, we use live bait's the best. I'll let you say that to you. There's generally live bait on the 36 fathom reefs around the fad. So everyone makes the mistake of getting the bait first. They go out the seaway, they wait for the sun to rise, they get their bait, and then they go out to the fad. And by that time, it's already been raped. Okay, there's already been 6 or 8 boats there, and just smashed it. So, and there's the guys that have gone there and either done all the techniques we just said, or they've just got out there and it's daylight, the sun's up now, just up, and there's bait everywhere on the bottom. They just drop the bait jig down and smash it. They get slimies, they get yakkers, they get whatever you want. I don't know why people don't do it. So just go into the fad and sound around, chuck a couple of lures out, and 6 knots, so you can see a bait school market, go back around, drop your bait jig down, get the bait jig. The bait, 8 ounce sinker or 6 ounce sinker on the 36s on your bait jig. And you can 12 ounce, sorry, and you'll get heaps. It's got to wind up a bit further. Same thing. And then you just go to fad and no weight, no sinker, no nothing. Look, you can use 2 hooks, but 1 hook's better, and circle hook if you want. I just use an octopus 5.0 to 7.0, 6.0, and just through the nose straight away. I don't worry about rubber bands. I don't, just hook it in and throw it out. You put it through the back if you want. They're going to attack it pretty quick. If they don't take a livey, they're just not feeding. Nothing else will work. They don't take a livey. Even pillies don't work if they don't take a livey. Second option, if you can't get liveys, or they're just liveys, sometimes the liveys don't want to bite. You put a little bit of bait on the bait jig, try that. You'll probably get little fish, little red things, whatever. They'll work. Try them for live bait, they'll work. I've caught fish on little goat fish, whatever. But if you can't get any live bait, pillies, half a pilly, 3.0, 4.0 hook, the exact same first rig that went around, but you don't have the swivel. It's just your 30-pound lead you got there. That's perfect. Straight to about a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 hook. 5.0 is probably the biggest. 3.0, 4.0 is very good for dollies, and you'll catch a fish up to 10 or 15 kilos on that hook, and half a pilly. And hide the pilchard. Just use half. Don't use the whole pilly. Look, I've got guys that use gang hooks on them, and when they're hungry, they don't care. They'll just take a gang hook. But they're a little bit clever, dollies, and I think they come out and look at it, and if it's concealed, they'll nail it pretty quick. And when you cast your pilly out, your half pilly, always leave the bail arm open. If you're using a spin reel, always leave it open. Does that make sense? So let it free fall naturally. As I said before, if you close that bail up, it pulls it, and it's not natural in the water. Just let it keep going and going and going. Don't cast it 80 metres and then let out another 180 metres, if that makes sense. And stay on the same spot, and the boat's now down here somewhere. You sort of got to think, okay, I'm drifting this way, and I'll cast down to it, so it's not going to move much until the boat catches up to it. If you cast up in front of the boat, the other way, into the current, and your boat's going that way, that's when you have dramas, you run out of line, or it's too hard, it's on the surface doing spirals, whatever. But if you cast down with the current, in front of the boat, the way you're going to drift to, it's in the water a lot more naturally for a lot longer. Okay. It's a little trick. think that's about it on the dolphin fish. Oh, just that they're psycho. So when you get them in the boat, they're dangerous. So make sure you got a gaff, something like that. Opposite way with dolphin fish, they've got a really wide head, real long, deep head. So you don't want too small a gape. It needs to be quite wide, at least that in that section. Okay? Otherwise it won't go through properly. Just go through the shoulder part, top part, between its eyes and its dorsal fin, that area. And straighten the boat, straighten the bag, or straighten to an esky or straight somewhere where it can not flap around over the joint. If you just chuck it on the deck, dangerous. Okay? And you dong them as hard as you want, they don't die. The bat, you probably broke the bat. So you've got a really hard head. So you just got to put them on ice, and that's the quickest way to cool them down. Get the hook out later, whatever. Bag limit 5 per person. When dolphin fish are biting, it's very quick to get your bag limit. There's fish everywhere. And as we all know, the fastest growing fish, 18 months, they're from go to woe. That's it, that's their lifespan. So and they're very, very good fish for massive numbers when they breed. So they're a very good sustainable fish actually for our coastline. And they're very good at this area, like up at Rainbow Beach yesterday. They get them up there, they don't get nobody not the quantity we get here. So I don't know where they come from. They get them all down the east coast, but they're really thick between here and say Coffs or Port Stephens. A lot of dolphin fish. And then they'll be really thick over at Vanuatu or Fiji, whatever, but they must just do a circle like that, I think. They don't really start up at Cooktown and work their way down the coast like we think they do. Most of them just sort of swim in this area, Fraser south or Sunshine Coast south. Yeah.
I didn't catch one in Bundy in type 4 years.
You didn't? No, exactly right, mate. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're like narrow in this area. I don't know where they come from, and they don't live long. Sorry, Dave.
How do you best eat them?
Yeah, I love dolphin fish. I really like to barbecue them. Actually, so fillet, skin, bone, piece of meat, bit of flour, straight onto a nice oily top, not a grill plate, just a oil plate, like a teppanyaki type plate, and just like that, and pepper on it, a bit of garlic powder. Very nice. Other way, you can do it breadcrumbs. Yeah, don't ever, all your mackerel, like my dad back in the day, everything was staked with the bone, and it's the way of the 80s, I think, or the 90s, I don't know. And it was terrible. It gets strong, it's got bones in it, all that sort of crap. But if you fillet the fish, skin and bone it, and then if you've got quite a big dolphin, we say something that's around 20 kilos, it's going to be probably that thick in the fillet. So you need to cut it on an angle. So any fish that's thick like a king or an amberjack, you cut it on an angle about the thickness of your hand. That's the best cooking thickness. Does that make sense? Mm.
What about those small dollies?
Yeah, small dollies are not that, like, you know, when there's no dollies around and they're only all 60 centimetres, then I'll keep them. But they're bigger than a whitingfill, right? So that's the way I look at it. And you just eat them like a little whitingfill if you just breadcrumb it or batter it or whatever you want. For batter, like everyone's got their own favourite batter mix. I just for batter, I just use like really cold beer. So, and I try to use a flour that's not a what do you call it? You know, people get that can't eat the bread. Gluten-free is the word. Thank you. Gluten-free powder. It seems to be better to consume with really ice cold beer, and I'll even put a couple of ice cubes in there as well. And then I just get, I've got like this thing that mixes it to beautiful. And you just keep adding the beer in, don't pour the whole beer in. So flour-wise, you know, if you've got a bowl that big, it might be that thick on the bottom. Pour the beer in and then mix it and try and get all the flour in there. And mix it till it's like a paste where if you dip the fish in, it doesn't stay on the fish, it sort of all runs off. Don't want it too thick, that's the secret. So just about nearly, it's like a clear film on it, if that makes sense.
It's like a tempura.
Like a tempura, yeah, exactly right, yeah, that's right. Tempura is good too, by the way. But the trouble is, with tempura, it tends to heat up too quick, if that makes sense. It goes dark too quick. Yeah, where gluten-free flour, you can cook it sort of 3 or 4 minutes aside, and it's still golden. Yeah, but the beer's the secret, I think. Does anyone use beer? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good. It's good. I put a bit of salt and pepper in it as well, and a little bit of garlic powder. Yeah, and what I do, sorry, I put the beer in the gluten flour, free flour, and then before I do that though, I just use normal flour, believe it or not, in just a freezer bag, and I crack heaps of pepper in there, heaps of salt, and then garlic powder. Put probably 2 teaspoons in, so it's about the size of my hand in a bag, and then I slice all the fills up, and then I throw a fairly chunk in it, like probably 10 or 12 pieces maybe, and then shake the bag. And then when I grab them out of the bag, I shake it again, so it's just barely covered in the flour, if that makes sense. And then dip it in the batter with the ice cubes in it to keep it really cold. And then I'll just go straight from there, drain it off so it's nearly all drained off, not quite, and then into the hot oil. And that seems to work really good. Yeah, and it's not very oily, so it doesn't seem to contain the oil and be oily type. And when you take it out, I always put it onto a grill plate, a grill mesh, and let the oil drain off it. And I flip it over as well, so it drips off the other side. It works really good. Yummy. And I crack salt on there as well. Last thing, crack salt on it. Okay, that's it. So get back to our fishing. Okay, so we've done the dolphin fish. Any questions else on dolphin fish at all? We'll go to Marlin. Oh, sorry. No.
The sparrows and that.
Yeah.
Is there any areas where you worry about ciguatera?
Look, out here it's really it's a bad bullet. Simple as that. You rarely get it out here, but it does happen out here.
What about?
If I was up Harvey Bay, I'd be stressed maybe.
Yeah, like Lake Musgrave that way.
Oh, look, not so much out there. It's more just around that sort of Platypus Bay, top of Fraser area. Watumba, to say the Brunis, is a bad area. Something they feed on there doesn't like them, doesn't like us, and then they swim down here and we catch them and eat them. You know, hopefully it doesn't stay in the system too long. I don't know. Look, you've probably got more chance of getting it off. If you ever caught a coral trout here, you might get off a coral trout maybe. Look, I wouldn't stress too much about it. There was that guy, that teacher, I think, a couple of years ago, caught a big one down at Palmy, 24 kilos or 22 kilos, and gave it the whole street, and they all ended up in hospital. True story. Stewie's had it off a coral trout. Him and his dad was in hospital for a couple of days. Stewie was in there for 1 day. So it took them years before they could even eat fish again. Yeah. Yeah. So hot's cold, cold's hot, and a lot of other things go wrong with you. I haven't had it yet, so I've been lucky. But I eat a lot of fish. I eat fish 3 times a week at least. Yeah, so pretty rare. I eat a lot of mackerel. Yeah. And I even do it like, so you guys do like ceviche style. Have anyone done that with mackerel? It's very, very nice. So you just slice it up. Sorry, we're talking food here for a sec. But we sliced it up about, I don't know, that size, or a bit smaller, so half that size, and about, probably about 3 mil or 4 mil thick. So it's like that size, right? And quite 3 or 4 mil thick. So how to do that? I fill it, I skin it, bone it, and then I'll cut it in 3 strips. So I've got the three shanks of it, and then slice it that way. Does that make sense? And then I'll put it like, so you got a freezer bag that size. I'll half fill it with meat, and then if you haven't got a bowl, you can put it in, say in the boat. If you're out in the boat, want to do it, just take a couple of zip tied bags with you. They're gonna have the lime juice. You need lime juice. Okay, and the zip bag will work. You put all the lime juice in the bag, just half fill it and sit in the bag. Only 20 minutes to half an hour. That's it. Pretty quick. If you've got it in the fridge and you got all your lime juice, so you need about probably 10 or 12 limes to do it, to get the juice. And then put it into a bowl with the lime juice, put all the flesh in there, and just sort of mix it around a little bit so it all gets coated. Throw it in the fridge, wrap it for about half an hour, and then take it out. And then you can leave it in that juice, but I prefer to take it out of the juice then. And then if you want to put some coconut milk on it then, and chopped up chili and chopped up coriander is really nice, and then just enjoy it. Which one, sorry? Oh, true, yeah. Oh, right in the mix. Oh, when it's fermenting. Yeah, marinating. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, half an hour's perfect. Yeah, that's right. So good, guys. So good. Never get sick of it. And it's raw. Well, it was raw, sort of half cooked. Yeah, give it a go. Really good with alcohol. Okay. Any other questions on dolphin fish? No, I'm going to go quickly to marlin now. That's the last thing. So marlin, look, how many guys have you caught a marlin this year? You got one? You're doing a fair bit of fishing, haven't you? Okay, who wants to get a marlin this year before it goes? So if you want to get one, just do exactly what we do with the skirts, what we do for dolphin fish. And they're a bycatch for dolphin fish when you're catching dolphin fish, and dolphin fish are a bycatch for marlin when you catch a marlin. You're doing exactly the same thing. There's no difference. You're trolling the skirts at 5 to 8 knots. They're placed a little bit further back for dolphin fish, but the marlin are going to take them back further. But if you're trolling close for marlin, you won't get as many dolphin fish in close, okay? Like I said earlier. So the thing is, with marlin, to work out your colours. So the purple one that was around before is the closest. So purple's going to be, I see it draw on the board. So this is your boat. Motor's here. Rod holders at the back here. 1 rod, 2 rod. Rod holes on the angle. And you might have a bait board here. You might put one in there, or you got a rocket launcher on the console, or you're running your boat here. There's a rocket launcher across here. You might want to put one up there. So if you're going to put 5 lines out for marlin, the first one, whether it be that side, whichever side you look back on, it's easy for you to turn and see, is the shortest one. So if it's this side, it's this side. It's only about 15 metres back. This one here is going to be about 25. This fella here is going to be about 35 to 40. And this one here is going to be about 50 metres back, maybe 60. And the one out of here or here is going to be right down the centre. He's back a fair bit further, about 75 metres or 70 metres. Does that make sense? And the colours are going to be, put those other ones. I remember like a sieve. Here's this one. So this fella here is going to be purple. And this guy here is going to be blue, or like that bluey mixed one that went around, or maybe a purple and blue, or whatever it might be, but the dark, that's going to be purple or purple black. So darkest there, still dark there. This guy here is going to be probably green or pink, either or, doesn't really matter out here so much. Pink, this one might be orange, and this one might be lumo. Or you can move those around any way you want, doesn't really matter. It's all about getting away from all this sort of, what's the other colour? Here it is. It's all about getting out of this sort of white water that starts to dissipate around here somewhere. Does that make sense? So you need to be able to see, they need to be able to see that lure. So the darkest lure in that lightest, that white water is the purple. That's the easiest for them to see. And they'll come shooting in from the side here and nail it, you know. Then as it gets out here further, it gets a lot clearer, and the brighter colours start to come into their own. And they love bright colours. So that's why I said those 3 there, it's really irrelevant where they sit. Some people have mental, that's got to be there, and there, but really doesn't really matter. And as I say before, we have customers that we tell them, but they forget, and they'll chuck that one there and catch a marlin on. It's on the day. But in theory, that's how it should work. Is that all right? Everyone's got that down pat? If you're using it, your snap school is very relevant to the size of the line you're using. We talked about it earlier, but size 4 or size 5 is a good size to use for most lines that are between 30 and 50 pound in mono, and then braid from 40 to 100. Okay. If you're going to use braid, you need to have a wind-on leader, and you need to have it of about 80 to 100 pounds. And if you're going to use just line, I'd probably do an FG knot or an Albright if you can't do an FG. But an FG knot and attach probably 80 to 100 pound leader and 6 meters long. Needs to have some stretch in it on the braid because marlin jump and they do thing cartwheels and whatever. The dolphin fish the same too. So if you run your braid straight to a short leader, it's too aggressive unless you've got a real soft tip rod, which we don't use for marlin fishing. So you've got rod's got a little bit of tip action, and then you've got quite hard braid. It's very aggressive on the fish to rip the hook out. So something's got to give. So 6 meter leader, stout swivel on the end, as we spoke about, and hook straight onto the lure. And that trace is about that long. So you can wind the fish right up to the boat. That's how it all works. Old days, people use long doubles and long leaders. And I know the guys that do it that way are used to it and they know how to fish that way, but for newcomers and people who know what they're doing, get away from that style. Go to new style. Hey Stu, mate. What?
New style is always pretty good.
What?
You should listen to your own tips.
Wind on leaders or wind on leaders, right?
One on leaders.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions on that at all? Now, when you get a male 9, how many guys here fish off jet skis? Okay, no. Sorry?
Not for marlin.
Not for marlin. Well, if you do, just be careful, that's what I want to say. Small boats, look, I fish out of my little 5 metre boat sometimes for marlin, and I had a little 4 metre hornet years ago and there's fish for marlin out of it. And it's always same as on jet ski, they're close range, right? They're jumping around. You've got to watch that spear. They are trying to spear you. They see you, they try to spear you. I promise you. So, and other times they're just doing erratic jumping and they land in the boat. But we've had quite a few land in my little boats over the years, you know. So look, be careful. The main thing is to stay, I'd say down current with it. So you're pulling always down with the current. If you go up current, they tend to use it as a planing thing. They go down deep. So you're trolling a lure and it's got the bib on the front and you go against the current, it just goes down and it's hard to get it back up. But if you're up the other side of the current, it's quite easy to pull your lure out of water, right? So when you're going with the current. So always get on the downside of him, downside of the current. And if he jumps around, drive the boat around the other side of him. Okay? Try and keep on, you got to hold the card all the time. And then when you're getting close to the boat, be really careful. You've got kids, I know they love to see the fish jumping or whatever. Keep them up the cab, keep them away, as long as it doesn't jump in the cab. So just tell them to be careful. And they're a bit weird. They can be sitting out there just swimming, then they'll just turn and jump at the boat, you know. So if you're on the throttle, give it away a little bit, keep the fish at close range. And when it's at the right opportunity, then that's when you get it beside the boat. Make sure you're wearing a glove. If you grab it by the bill to try and get some photos or whatever, I wouldn't recommend taking it out of the water unless you're going to keep it. But grab it by the bill with the glove. So if you put it on your hand and they do the shake, they'll just rip all your skin off your hand.
Like the coarsest sandpaper you'll ever feel.
Yeah, and going hard. It's like someone's got a sand with a super coarse paper up against the paintwork. It's like just rips it straight off. It's the same with skin, and all the little blood start coming out everywhere because it's just taking the skin off. So use a glove. It can be a gardening glove. I don't care what kind of glove, but just make sure you have a glove in the boat. And then the best pictures are holding the bill out of water so you can sort of control it. Boat's still going forward, lean over, and take a picture. And you've got to keep it, rip it out of the water with a gaff. When you get it in the boat, they'll thrash around a bit, but they're not like a dolphin fish, they'll just lie there. And if you want to keep it, again, you've got to chop it up, put it in the esky, or put a wet towel over it and keep it somewhere out of the sun if you can on the way home. Okay? And keep wetting the towel too. They eat fine. So if you've got one that's got its gut hanging out and it's pretty well dead, I wouldn't waste it. I definitely, if it's under say 100 kilos, definitely keep it. Just hard lift it into the boat if you've got high sides. Sounds like I've done that before. Anyhow, but other than that, everything else I said, guys, just do that, you'll catch one. What do you look for? You look for birds. If there's nothing around, there's not much bait on the sounder and there's not much happening, look for those little white birds, those little tiny white ones that just flutter. And they're not the ones that dive around like the joint, but they just sit there and they'll go up high, then they'll come down low. There's normally a fish under it. Control past it, or under it, or near it. Okay. Marlin is very fast. As I said, they'll come from deep water up to you, and they'll come from 150, 200 metres over that way, zoom in and grab your lure. Okay, when they're... Look, 15 kilo mono or minimum 40 pound braid. Yeah, 40 to 80, 65. 40, 65 is real good. 6,000 spin, 8,000 spin, and overhead, like a 20 size or 16 size.
Okay.
Yep, they're not too big. No, because the average size fish is sort of around 25 kilos to 40 kilos or 60 maybe. It's the average. The freaky ones might be 120, odd one. It's a battle getting those in. And sometimes it can take 2 hours. But good fun, yeah. Leader, yeah, so 80 to 100 pound, 150 max. But generally 100 pounds our go-to leader for the wind-on leader or the FG knot job. On the lure, we use 130, 150, 130, 120 is all right, yeah.
And the heads.
Heads, so there's short heads and long heads. I can bring you long heads up, but the short heads, try and keep those with your darker colours, but they'll work anywhere in the pattern. But long heads don't work that good in close. They work better at the back. So they're always the lighter colours, generally speaking. We've taken that basket downstairs from our talk. Yeah. There's a popper one in Pakulas, which is the one we sell all the time, the Brad J colour.
Is that a zipper?
Zipper, that's the one. Yeah. So the zipper in the Brad J colour, it's like an orange, pink and white. It's like just a guarantee. One of those last three at the back here somewhere. Doesn't miss. But it's the long head. So that's probably the long head one I'd use. The rest will be just short ones. They chug a bit more and work a bit better. Yeah. The ones at the back can be lighter. The ones in close need to be a bit heavier to hold in amongst all the white water and stirring what's happening. Yeah. Yeah. Teasers is the other thing to talk about, but if you want to throw a teaser, Pakula do this one here, which is like a teaser tow line with a strip on it, and they work really well. There's actually 2 strips on there, I think. 3 strips, sorry. 2 or 3 strips. And that then goes onto a bird or a witch doctor, whoever it may be. A lot of guys will just actually troll with the strip out the back. Just chuck it on a BB cord or a 3 or 4 mil rope, and you can put a sink on the end if you want to, but it does have like a cone head on it, so it does move around a little bit. And they work really well as well. So they flick off light, and they look really good. There's a whole array of teasers, and that you just attach to a teaser tail. I've got a little D-shackle on the end there, and just attach it to the front. There's a little area in the front there, a little snap, you hook up, put the shackle on that, and then just drop it out very close. So from here to back rows chairs, maybe 8 metres behind the boat, because your first lure is 15 metres back, remember, so you want to be probably around 6 metres or 5 metres in front of that, so it doesn't get tangled up. Yeah. And the fish will come straight in on that. Yeah. Hook rigs, you can get double hook rigs, you can get single hook rigs. As I was saying earlier, we tend to use the single hook rigs. The double ones were very popular back 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Still are to the older guys, older school fishermen. But they're dangerous. So if you've got greenhorns on the boat, especially dolphin fish, a lot of guys get hooks in their hands. So be careful. Yeah. Last thing, that's that colour, sorry, another lure. So that's Pakula, that's actually a daisy chain. We sell all these Marlin fishers and dolphin fish and everything. So it's a teaser, but there's actually got a hook in the end skirt here. So it becomes a teaser / lure. Did you try those, Dave, yet? Did you get some of those? Haven't tried it yet? What are you doing, mate? They work really well. So this year we've had a lot of guys get fish on these things. And in America, that's what they all do. But when you're game fishing, we're not allowed to use this type of setup in comps. But for the amateurs like us, we can all use it, you know. And they work really well. Yeah, so that's the whole setup. They're not cheap though, about just a bit over $100. I think that's about it, Stu. Any other questions at all? I was going to
One
quick about.
question.
I'm running out of time.
So when you hook up,
Yeah, mate.
do you keep motoring? Or
Yeah, you do, 100%. So any fish, dolphin fish, marlin, mackerel, doesn't matter. Always keep it in gear. So if you're on your own or if it's windy, so if you're on your own, like you're in trouble a little bit, you just keep the boat going forward about 2 knots and try and clear a couple of the other rods if you can. As long as there's pressure on it and he's hanging in the water, not jumping low the joint where it's going to be loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, he may throw the lure. That case, you'll have to get it out and take up the slack and try and catch up to him and worry about the other rods when the time comes. If you get control of him and he goes down a little bit, at that point, put it in the rod holder and get your other rod, a couple of lines in, mate. But if he comes straight towards the boat, straight up, it's going to be a hassle because you've got other lines set and they're sinking down a bit. But have a pair of scissors close by, chop the other ones off. Try to get the lures first though. Look, and if you're in the boat in with other guys and it's blowing 15 or 20 knots, the quickest thing you got to do is, even if it means going up into the current, you need to go with the wind. So you need to take the belly out of the line and quickly, not only maybe say you're going that way against the wind and you hook up, you need to get the boat around with the wind. So the boat's always with the wind, if that makes sense. Because if you're going to fight him especially on your own into the wind, the boat goes everywhere, the lines go everywhere, and it becomes a whole big schmozzle around the prop and everything. So clear that out of the way. The only way to do that is get your lines behind the boat, downwind. Yeah.
do you say what drop down and say 2 or 3 knots?
Yeah, 2 or 3 knots. 2 knots is good. Yeah, just keep the boat going forward. Like of the old boats with the old cable steer, could never do that. They go around in circles. But most of the boats these days are pretty well run through. Yeah. Okay, these rigs. Let's go quicker rig up. Sorry, Stu, I had to wait for it to defrost, mate. So I'll just rig up one of the garfish and the pilly real quick. Or the slime and the pilly, doesn't matter whichever one. I'll do the slimy. That slimy's a bit icky though. Let's go. No, it's just the rigs. They're all down the back there. Sorry, Stu. Sorry, mate.
Do you run your hook up or down on a kill?
I always run them on the belly. Yeah. The last hook though, like that rig there's too long, so I'll probably swing that last hook. Some guys do switch it up the other way. I don't. Thanks, Stu. Those hooks are a bit smaller, so still a bit long though. So what you do with any of your baits, whether it be a slimy or a gar, is you measure it out so that spike there goes up through that part of him. So you snap off that beak there, and then it's got to go between that top beak, which is here, and the bottom one through there. So I'm going to look back here. Okay, that's going to be a little bit too long. That's too long for the fish. So I'm not going to put that hook in, and my first hook's going to start right where my hand is there. To be true, in like so. Next hook, in like so. Before I do that, one thing I didn't tell you about garfish in particular is you crack their backbones. So you take the flesh off the backbone. By doing that, you pinch on this line, both sides, okay? Pinch, 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 pinch. And you'll hear it pop, and you'll see it pop. And it just pops it off, and it makes it a lot more softer, okay? So 1 in, 2 in. This one here up here. Sorry. Be careful not to stab yourself. It does happen. But before you do that though, make sure you take the spring off. Spring can't be on there. Okay, do that again. Like so. And then you just bring that down so it's gone through You can't see it, but it's through both there. And then down here, put the spring over, there's a little split, so that little pin splits the spring, starts it, and then just keep screwing it down over his head till it's really tight in his head. It's not going any more than that, that's it. And then when you bring the skirt down, pull it down over the top, and if you want, just pull it right down tight, make sure the legs aren't caught up. And if you want to, you could just pop a leg over the that little spike there just to hold it all in place and pop it through. My eyes aren't the best. Anyhow, that'll do. But that's it. That's it, exactly as you see it there. So I'll pass this around. Oh, a bit of paper there, Stu, mate. Thank you, mate.
How fast are you going with that?
I've actually trolled it at 6 knots, and I've trolled them at 0 knots.
Yeah.
But predominantly 2 knots.
Okay.
1 to 2 knots. It's just in gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you pre-swimming the baits before you bomb it out? Or
No, I do. I put them in the water and just see they go. Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah. But they tend to be happy in there, you know. I'll pass that around first. Thank you, sir. Smells a bit. Sorry, guys. The next one is the little pilly one. So we're going to put a pill chute on. The smaller version. It's exactly the same scenario, guys. First thing you do, take that spring off. I think they come pre-springed on there, do they? You guys wind them up, I think. So, same deal again. Measure it. Okay, it's going to go through his head there. It's going to be like borderlining. I might put it in there, but it doesn't really matter. It's pretty close to the end. So, second one in here. Third one in the middle. Pull it around. Yeah, I'm a little bit short, but that's all right. Then through the bottom out to the top. Same way with your hook, like I was telling you earlier for the spotties. Come down. And we start off that. And then we just do the same deal again. If you want to get it right up tight, just keep going until it's actually got the eye of the hook in there as well. And then that there just goes down over the top. Yeah, make sure the legs aren't caught up. One caught up there somewhere. Yeah. And just straighten him up, nice and straight. And that's it. Looks a bit skewish, doesn't it? It's only because the lead bottom on it though. Try and, I haven't done any, but that lead's actually sitting down. I like to have it flat. So just get a pair of pliers and spin around if it's like that way it is now. Paper there, mate? You're running out of paper, mate. I haven't read that. Thank you, sir. There we go. Turtle on there.
So the biggest thing is with the skirts, it's actually, it does attract them a little
Thank you.
bit. But
So
it
sorry about the smell,
deflects
mate.
water. So when you screw that nose cone on, because you've gone through the top and bottom jaw, their mouth's always going to be a bit open. If you don't put that over, that's why with the when we put the skirts on, when we make it, we don't cut a hole in it. We just poke the wire through, so it's all pretty snug. It just deflects the water and it.
Thanks, mate.
stops it
Thank you.
from
Cheers, mate.
Blowing the guts out. Like if the mouth's open a little bit and you're trolling 2 knots, it's always going to get a bit of water and then it'll blow its guts out. We have pretty warm water out the front, so your baits don't last forever. So it just prolongs that life a little bit. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't last that long.
And don't leave your baits out on the back cutting board and change it all the time because it wrecks them. So keep them in on their own little bait esky with it wrapped up in whatever. I don't have a knife. He's only used a pair of scissors. Scissors work for doing this. So this is the bait one. So if I'm going to use a single hook in that, actually I did a single hook on the tail part. So I measure it like I said before, so it's going to sit somewhere in that area there, if you can see where it is. Okay. So I'm going to start my hook right about here, pop it in, pull the whole hook through, turn around, take it out, so I've taken it out, and I'm going to go through here, just before the end, pull the line back through, pull the hook around, and then I'll just do like a little hitch in the wire over the tail here. Yeah, it's going to make his trace a little bit kinky, but it's not too bad. It's not like when the fish does it. And that's enough, just the weight of that's enough. And if you want to go one more step, you can use that bait mate. You know the bait mate? This elastic type, clear little cotton stuff. That's really good, so you don't have to do that, you just actually keep it straight. And you just hold it there, and you wrap the bait mate around it. And the fish don't see it. For spotties, yeah, they love it. Yeah, they love it, yeah. But in this scenario, I'm going to do a little hitch on here. I just got to wreck the trace up a little bit, but it works. Actually, I'll do the other one as well. So the twin hook rig, this is the one other one we had before. So what we're going to do is just stick it in. So just like so. You can stick it in, pull it through, and do it the other way around. Don't need to though. So I go from the bottom up. You can go from the top down, but like I said, you might maybe sometimes you snap its gills. It's where this part joins on here. You'll snap that sometimes. So you can go through here as well, just like that. But sometimes it falls off. Okay, so whichever way you want to go, that way, it doesn't matter. These hooks are so sharp. Always center. Center is very important. But when you come out through that top part, it's so tight. It's so sorry, too far. It's so tight on that top head part. Oops, missed it. Get my eyes checked. But anyway, that's it. It's ready to roll. It's probably not quite right. Need to get a bit more. Sorry, guys. Exhibit B is what we're looking for, Stu.
B25.
This is the best way. Poke his eye out. Yeah, whichever. Doesn't matter. But it ain't going to go nowhere. Thank you. So just have a look when I go around and get the gist of it. We'll give those baits away tonight so someone's going to win them so they can try it. Okay, so any other questions at all, folks? It's like not in depth, it's just like giving you the gist on everything that you need to know, okay? Which is really important. Rightio, Stewie, mate. Draw time. So, other questions? Everyone's good? Okay, good. This weekend's to go. Weather's nice. Okay, so we have got 6 prizes, $1,400 worth, round about. Stewie. First prize, $500 for the lures and stuff. Goes to number 9.
Sweet.
Well done. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Next one's around hooks are sharp. Be careful. Just under around 300. Just under 300. It's very close to it.